Somebody
Man,
disagree with me. I mean, like if we look at the debate, I know somebody's gonna agree with me.
I don't. That's
I
what I
thought it was
want.
gonna
I
be
never
Knicks in
disagree with you.
5,
Knicks and four. I can never be mad at that. But
They was
word
looking
up,
shaky up into that fourth quarter. I don't know, man.
let me set
word
the
up.
table. Here we go. Look, after all the Knicks talk last week or two, right? Y'all better watch out for Detroit. You know, Detroit's coming. They tripled their win total. You know, all these pundits picking Detroit. All these different analysts coming out of the bushes and hating on the Knicks as they usually do around this time. You know what I'm saying? Yo, we was listening, man. Brunson, Cat, Tibbs, they was listening, man. Believe that, man. Knicks beat the Pistons game one. Wasn't easy, especially in the first half. A real close game. Brunson came out cold. Cade came out cold. Uh, they looked, trepidatious. They looked off. Maybe some say it was a layoff. Some say it was just Detroit's defense. But a lot of the Knicks were cold. It was kind of like a prize fight in the beginning. You know what I mean? Just picking their shots, kind of feeling each other out. We're so used to Brunson lighting shit up in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's done since he's been here. I thought one thing Detroit did very well was they played him very well off the pick and roll. Because I went back, because yesterday I was with D and Q watching the game, and I was kind of out of it. There was people there, we was talking and everything. So I went back. I wanted to, be able to speak educated about the game. So I kind of rewatched it and broke some shit down. What I noticed is they was playing Brunson very well. They were studying. We talked about this yesterday too, me and D and Q. They watched a lot of tape on him, man. They said we're not going to let Brunson, even though he had a really good game, 34-8, whatever. First half they played him extremely well. Played him well off the pick and rolls. They put a lot of big guards on him. You would see like Cade on him sometimes. Cade is 6'6", length, pause. A short Thompson, 6'6", 6'7", length. They was making him uncomfortable. But that first half, OG Anunoby pretty much held it down. I thought he played phenomenal on both sides of the ball. Tobias Harris was equally good, and shout out to D because me, I was trying to shit on Tobias Harris, and D was like, "Yo, nah, Tobias, man, he was a scary nigga on Detroit, but on the Pistons, he has more confidence." But yeah, Tobias Harris played very well. Cade, like I said, was cold. Um, the
How
Pistons
much
look
Cade
Rick.
had? How much Cade
Oh,
had last night? I forgot.
I gotta look
19.
up. 19. But listen, this is the game in a nutshell,
I don't know.
man. The third and fourth quarter was the game. Pistons scored 36 points on 22 possessions in the third quarter. That was their third most efficient quarter of the season, right? So they came to ball in the third quarter. I was a little bit nervous. They took an 8-point lead into the fourth. But the fourth quarter, man, that's where the Knicks break it open. Historical 21-0 run. It felt like Detroit turned the ball over like fucking 2,000 times, man. Real sloppy play. I said this in the little pre-production meeting we had. It was experience versus youth last night. The inexperience of Detroit was really on full display. It was evident. OG, like I said, had a really good game. It didn't really show up in the box score. I thought Bridges had a really good game defensively. I know Q might have something to say about that. Campaign, who I was been down on for chucking a lot. Again, I got to give some props to D. D was like bringing Campaign. He came in, had a lot of clutch shots, gave the Knicks a lot of juice. Shout out to Tibbs too, because he made adjustments from the first half into the second half. Kept McKell on the bench a little bit, gave Campaign a little bit more run. I thought that was really good coaching by Tibbs, who's been, criticized. Also, Cat, very good game, 23-11. Some big defensive plays in the fourth quarter.
Hmm.
Brunson, some big offensive plays down the stretch. I thought they all played well in the second half, but uh, I want to go. We're gonna go to Q first, man. Q, you watched the game with me. What was your thoughts on yesterday's game?
I think I was highly upset and very nervous
Mm.
up until the, the 38-minute mark of the fourth quarter. Like it was it was um it was a team that we expect to see this happen,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still things that need to be fixed. Brunson still had a very he had a hard, he had such a quiet game last night. He scored 34 points, but he didn't seem like the superstar. And I think one of the biggest changes that I think the Knicks need to do is I think they need to realize exactly like what needs to happen. Like I feel like there's times where there's just no like motivation in their gameplay. Like there's no like, and I think that happens when Hart, because Hart scored those. He had those 3 early fouls, and we saw Tibbs keeping him in the game with 9 minutes left in the second quarter. I'm like, that's a wild decision. That's why we didn't see him in the third quarter, right? Like we didn't see Hart in the third quarter. Like, and that's what happens. But if we would have
You
kept
didn't
him
see
out of
Hart in
there
the third quarter?
earlier, barely.
Hart scored
Barely.
6 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Real points in the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter.
I'm sorry.
Talking about the third quarter.
Oh, the third quarter. Okay.
Like nobody didn't see anybody. Nobody saw Hart. Like and we saw the the make believe Twin Towers for a couple of minutes. And
I like the way that looked. Go ahead.
With 6 minutes left in the second quarter.
Why you say make believe? Make believe, like what you talking about? Mitch doing the ditch and
I want to see. I want to see it more. I want to see that combination more. But you know what I'm scared of is that
I thought Mitch played well too. My bad. Yeah, 17 minutes.
He had a great game. A great game.
Cleaned up on offensive boards a little bit. Nice putback. Yeah, off the shot.
But what I want to see is I want to see that more often. Mm-hmm. Plus, bring a Chua into that effect, because if Chua's not getting,
gonna happen. Chua's buried on the bench this series.
It needs to happen. It needs to happen. We need that energy. And I think
who do you give those minutes to?
Yeah, who do you? That's a great question, Cash. Like, so you want to see more of a Chua? Somebody's coming out of there. Who is a Chua giving you more minutes in, or whose minutes are you cutting to bring in a Chua?
Mm-hmm. Because he went to a 9-man rotation yesterday, and that's pretty.
When Hart has three fouls with 9 minutes into the second quarter, you telling me you don't take Hart out the game when that sub? When I think Kate Cunningham was shooting the free throw.
I disagree with it at the time, but it actually wound up working out. I was a little shocked he left Hart in there with 3 fouls.
Yeah,
but
he's playing a
but
different type.
But Hart don't necessarily play the same position.
Right.
They don't do the same things on the court. So you take Hart out, you put a Chua in. A Chua can't do. A Chua can't.
But we're gaining offensive.
He can't guard the perimeter.
But we're gaining offensive. Like and to be honest, a Chua can get just as much rebounds. Because I think
it's not about the boys. It's everything else that Hart is doing. Hart is doing a lot of other stuff. Like he's
just running around and throwing his hand up. But when you have 3 fouls with 9 minutes left in the second quarter, what are you gonna do?
Is that really all you think Hart's doing, Q?
When you have no. But when you have 3 fouls, when you have 3 fouls with 9 minutes left in the second quarter, you think Hart is going all out? You think he's playing at 100?
No, he's playing a little. He's playing a conservative. Yeah, because of the 3 fouls, absolutely.
Hart becomes a play conservative.
But I don't know about putting Precious in for Hart. I don't know about that.
So you got to look at how teams got to scout Hart. Let's look at what Hart really does. Hart is not necessarily the guys looking to score at any moment, right? Hart is doing everything else. He's grabbing boards. He's making assists. He's boxing out. He's creating screens. He's somebody that every team, even during the regular season and especially during the playoffs, you have to scout for him correctly. Why? Because in any given moment, if they start to go to him and he starts to say, fuck it, I'm going to the rim, which is what he was doing, which is giving Knicks key buckets. I don't give a fuck if it's 40 points or 10. If he gives you 6 points or 4 points in any stretch of a game, it could be dangerous to the team that's trying to keep him from doing. They don't know how to guard. You don't know how to necessarily stop Hart. To me, Josh Hart is J.R. Smith 2.0. He's a different version of that. He's that type of lifeblood to the Knicks, and every team has to account for him. So when you say, well, I want to bring in Achua and I want to pull Hart out, Achua is not a floor general. Clearly, Hart, in every lineup that you put him in, whether it be off the bench, whether it be a starting position, whatever, second unit, whatever, he's a floor general. He actually plays quietly. He quietly plays the Robin to Brunson's Batman. Those two are the most in sync when it comes down to a lot of shit. Because Jalen Brunson knows how to speak to Hart, and Hart knows how to say, okay, this is what we got to do. There have been several times, including yesterday's game, where you watch Jalen Brunson will check Hart and say, yo. And Hart will start doing something different. Like he'll start, okay, now he's grabbing an extra board, or he's making an extra outlet pass, or he's putting himself in positions to make the team think. And then sometimes if you watch in-game, JB will tell him, yo, shoot the ball, man, score. And then what does he do? He goes and he scores. So he's not, Achua is not that. Achua is a rebounder. Achua is somebody that can score, right? Chua can do all these things, but that's all situational. We were just having this conversation with my boy Bronson, you know what I'm saying, about how he places his bets. He places his bets based off of what should be done versus how a game in playoffs is situational, right? So, yeah, everybody should do everything you just bet on, but these are situational games, which means at any given moment, somebody's going to have to step into their situation. This is who Josh Hart is, and this is something that Tibbs tried to take minutes away from Josh Hart to supplement them with a Chua. We're looking at a losing basketball game.
Yeah, but Josh Hart. But let's keep it a buck. Josh Hart played 44 minutes. Like how much of an impact are you gonna be in this playoffs, man? Because what we're gonna get out of this series,
Josh Hart
and now we gotta play
48 though. He's proven it since last year.
Yeah, he'll prove it, and you know what happens?
Right now.
He breaks down and always in the second series, bro. You can see the fatigue.
Wait. Let me just interject one thing real quick. One thing that Detroit did, they thought was going to be a good move, which wound up backfiring on them, was they had, if you guys